All right, what's going on, peoples, man? Let's go ahead and get into this topic of conversation, man. This is a very frustrating story to keep talking about, but I think that I'll be doing Shedeur Sanders and the Sanders family a disjustice if I don't talk about the injustices that this family is facing. First and foremost, let me say this: with Shedeur Sanders, there's a lot of negativity that was put on his name for no reason, no qualified reason at all. There's a lot of things that's going on in the media where you can see clearly they're favoring Dillon Gabriel, and that should not be the case. As we can see on full display, Kevin Stefanski is coaching like hot garbage. Dillon Gabriel is playing like hot garbage. And what you're seeing in real time is the insufficiencies and the deliberate attack to try to break down Shedeur Sanders' character as a young man, as a young quarterback, that they are trying to sabotage his play, sabotage his intellect, sabotage his abilities to be able to play in the National Football League. This is not fair. This is egregious and is disrespectful to Shedeur Sanders and his last name. There's no way in hell, and let me say this again, there's no way in hell anyone can tell me that Dillon Gabriel is a better prospect, is a better quarterback than Shedeur Sanders. There's no one on this earth that's going to persuade me to think otherwise. So we're going to go on what they was talking about on the Sports Radio 92.3 Fan. I'm going to give you my opinions throughout this interview. And let's kind of just dissect what they're talking about with this situation and what's going on with Shedeur Sanders in Cleveland. Let's get started.
I feel some type of way about the lack of communication from Andrew Berry this week. Okay. I feel some type of way about Kevin Stefanski speaking out of both sides of his neck at the end of the game last week. How in the world, on one hand, are you saying that you're going to evaluate everything and then turn around and just instantly say Dillon Gabriel is your starting quarterback? I thought Mary Kay Cabot did a great job of pressing him last week when it came to, when are we going to get to see Shedeur Sanders? And I thought the way he handled that was a little odd. Not to be a guy that's building drama, but I'm sorry, I got to point out the obvious. When Andrew Berry is known for speaking to the media every single year of his tenure as the general manager here, and he makes the decision not to do so, you leave a lot of room for speculation, assumptions, and narratives to be created. And I think that people need to understand, man, in sports, in business, in real life, when it comes to relationships, etc. In my opinion, man, one of the key core components to having anything healthy is healthy communication and somewhat of transparency. And by no means am I asking Kevin Stefanski.
What he's saying is right on point. Keep it up. Keep it up. I'm liking where he's going at with this conversation. There has been a lack of communication. Let me just break it down to you like this. The head coach, Kevin Stefanski, doesn't even mention Shedeur Sanders' name. He can't mention Shedeur Sanders' name. Anytime someone from the media brings up Kevin Stefanski, is there any reason why you will not give Shedeur Sanders an opportunity to play on the field to see what he could bring to the table for this Cleveland organization? He will not mention Shedeur's name at all. He treats this man with such low class, like he is not even respecting a player on his team at all. So when you have a head coach that is thinking like that is acting like this, how can you get respect in the locker room, man? How can you demand respect? You don't think that those other veterans don't see what you're doing? How can you expect to demand respect from players when they see clearly you don't even respect one of your own? And when you don't respect one of your own that's in the locker room, that should be taken into account on every other player that's in that locker room. Period.
Asking you to come out here and tell us your game plan and give us detail for detail of everything that's going on, right? But you listen to how he reacts to losses, and then you listen to Kenny Atkinson after we lost to the Celtics. I'll even go college level, right? The Colorado Buffalo got their butt kicked by Utah. And the way that Dillon Sanders spoke after that loss, right? It just seems like no matter what sport, no matter what situation, you have head coaches that's going to come out here and be a little bit more transparent and a little bit more communicative.
Yeah.
With so many issues, so many unanswered questions going on with this football team, and for them to continuously take the approach that they take, I think it makes it easier for people to operate the way that they do, just based on the tone that you all set as an organization.
Can I say, because you use like the NBA to NFL comparison thing
what
here,
gonna say?
I think a lot of that is just like the culture of those sports. Like in the NBA, for whatever reason, I think there's more of.
See, he already talking some BS. I could tell already. He's already talking some BS. You're saying the culture of those sports. Keep it on what we're talking about, what Kevin Stefanski, the head coach of the Cleveland Browns, what he is doing is setting a bad precedent on how a coach should act and should lead his team to victory every week. What Kevin Stefanski is doing is egregious. What Kevin Stefanski is doing is disrespectful to the whole Cleveland Browns organization. And furthermore, it's disrespectful to the dog pound. Woof, woof. It's disrespectful to the whole fan base. You have loyal fans in Cleveland. And see, what is happening now is that now the mask is coming off. Because Kevin Stefanski is going to have to meet karma one way or another. He's going to meet karma sooner rather than later. And he's already reaping that karma is because he put all his eggs in one basket. And that basket is the little leprechaun Dillon Gabriel. He put all his eggs in that one basket, and he is acting like the father that he is to Dillon Gabriel in trying to protect him as much as possible, which this was never a competition amongst two rookie quarterbacks. Let's be clear. This was never a competition. This was always one-sided. Kevin Stefanski always has had a soft spot for Dillon Gabriel. And he always, since day one, wanted to put Dillon Gabriel in the best of the limelight to make sure that he has an upper hand on Shedeur Sanders. Period.
There's more of a willingness from players to like talk openly about certain things. Like they'll call themselves out. They'll like Donovan. He won't call guys out necessarily publicly.
Not to cut you off. I'm talking about the coaches though.
No. But I'm just saying, like in general, though, like I think in the NBA, if a coach goes to the podium and says, you know, I want him to do that more, or if a player goes to the podium and says, I want him to do that more, for whatever reason, the NBA, like they don't take that as a slight. In the NFL, though, everything is always like maybe it's just like the aura that they give off. Like the NFL thinks it's the league of all leagues. They think they're better than everybody, obviously, and so they're kind of like, we keep everything in house.
Oh, this dude sound like some. Excuse my French on what I'm about to say. This dude is spitting nothing but bullshit out of his mouth. He's not even addressing the issue. He's dancing around the issue.
We don't talk about that publicly. We don't give headlines and whatever. And Kevin Stefanski very much subscribes to that belief. So I think that's why you hear him say what he says versus like Kenny Atkinson actually calling people out. I don't know. Like,
can I say something on that though?
Oh man, guys. I like to keep it real on my show. This is the problem right here when you got people in the media, just like this dude right here with this Ohio State hat. This is the issue here. Because you have people that protects the foolishness that Kevin Stefanski is putting down week in and week out. This is the reason why, because they cuddle and protect the foolishness the injustices that he is doing and what he stands for. There's nobody in their right mind was going to sit down in that seat and spit this bull crap that what he's saying is that Kevin Stefanski doesn't want to throw anybody under the bus and he like to keep things in-house when he clearly disrespect Shedeur Sanders openly to the media, when he doesn't even say Shedeur Sanders' name and he keeps saying that Shedeur Sanders is not up to par and where he needs to be. He's still a work in progress when Shedeur Sanders can go out there and play better than Dillon Gabriel right now if he was given an opportunity. You mean is this is baffling. This is some bull. This is some bull.
Oh, I see the philosophy point on that from Stefanski where like he doesn't want to his big thing is like he doesn't want to make headlines. And I get
it's
that.
not about calling people out though. First of all, on the first part of that, I don't think it's about an NBA, NFL thing. I think it's about a personality and how you go about your business. I don't believe Kenny Atkinson is a man that's going to say anything to the media that he has not already said to those players in the locker room before he comes out and address the media.
That's fair.
And then you look at a guy like Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin is a guy that gets in front of that podium and he holds his players accountable. He holds himself accountable. He gives you a little bit more. I know somebody who played for Mike Tomlin, and he has said to me personally, Mike Tomlin will never say anything on a podium that he hasn't said to a player in-house.
Yeah.
However, if he says something to a player in-house, sometimes if you give a little bit of push publicly, it'll go a long way. Nobody is asking Kevin Stefanski to come out here and throw players under the bus, to name drop, etc. But you need to give us a little bit more than we need to be better each week, or we got to improve, that's on me.
But we've also seen that way work. Like, look at Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick is the classic example of I say nothing, you get nothing, and look what they did. Now, I'm not saying that we should be comparing the current Cleveland Browns to the New England Patriots during the Bill Belichick era. I'm just saying, like, you're right about Tomlin. You're right about some of these other player coaches that are out there that do get away with, like, hey, I'll say something to you in the locker room and then say it at the podium and I don't care, and they can smooth that over or whatever they need to do to make that function within their team setting. But at the same time, we've seen both philosophies work in the NFL. We've seen coaches who aren't afraid to do what Mike Tomlin does, and it worked. We've seen coaches who do the Bill Belichick mentality, which is what Kevin Stefanski does, and it produced 6 Super Bowls. So I can understand the standpoint there from Stefanski doing it that way. Here's what I would say. I'm not trying to defend them because listen, I've said this a dozen times already. I think that Kevin Stefanski, like, they don't do themselves a lot of favors by not saying a lot of things. And I do think, like, Kevin just going up there and saying the same thing, like, it's very old when you're losing. It doesn't help. What I'll say on the Andrew Berry piece of this is, yes, you're right. It looks weird that he's done this every year except for this year. But at the same time, I kind of get where he's coming from, too, because it's not required, by the way. Like, there's no, like, agreement with the players, the writers, the Football Writers of America that, like, the GM has to speak during the bye week. And so I understand where it's like a double-edged sword for him. If he talks, everyone's just going to be like, well, you didn't give us enough. You didn't say this. You didn't say that. That wasn't a sufficient answer. If he doesn't talk, people are going to be like, well, where's the accountability? I would prefer that he talks because he just made 2 trades 2 weeks ago. And I do think it's kind of unfair that Kevin Stefanski has to answer for everything. But at the same time, I do understand where, like, from an organizational standpoint, it is kind of like a lose-lose in that regard. I'm not saying that Shedeur Sanders don't have his issues.
Kevin Stefanski has to answer for everything. Listen, dude, listen. That is the job of a head coach. If you don't like it, sit the F down. You don't get no brownie points, so I feel sorry for you because you got to do your damn job. It is your job to answer the media. It is your job to be as transparent as possible about the direction of how you're trying to lead this team to victory week in and week out. And if you can't show transparency, but you can show favoritism more to Dillon Gabriel, you're not trying to unite the locker room. You're dividing the locker room. And furthermore, it shows that you don't care about winning. You only care about the optics of who you like more and who you're giving more opportunities to, which is Dillon Gabriel. A blind man can see Dillon Gabriel is not the quarterback to lead this team to victory.
Right. And I'm not saying that Shedeur Sanders don't, have things that he need to work on. But I've just noticed lately that people are painting this
Dillon Gabriel has a whole lot more things to work on.
It's going to be much worse than what we're seeing right now from Dillon Gabriel if he got the opportunity. And I think everybody just keep coming back to the same point of, well, he drifts in the pocket. Like, it seems like that's at this point in the process, the only thing that you can fall on is, well, he drifts in the pocket.
Yeah.
I also don't believe that this wide receiving core is overall that bad to the point to where you're making it seem like that's the reason why Dillon Gabriel can't perform.
We went right there.
And this is what I mean by that.
Exactly. This dude right here with the headphones on without the hat is speaking facts. This is what I like to hear. Let's keep it transparent. Let's don't play no games with it. Let's don't speak in these hypothetical situations. Let's speak facts on what we can see with our eyes. You can tell that Kevin Stefanski is making excuses for Dillon Gabriel every chance he gets, because when he makes blanket statements like what my man just said, is that he's trying to say we all got to do better from every aspect, from every aspect, from each division of our team, from the special teams to the defense and to the offense. Dude, you need to hold Dillon Gabriel accountable. He is not playing to the standards on what a quarterback, especially a starting quarterback, should do. Miss me with all this damn he's a rookie. I don't give a damn, because at the end of the day, he's been put in that position by Kevin Stefanski to lead this team. It's no longer looking at him as a rookie. You have to get it by your bootstraps, because I tell you what, they hold Shedeur Sanders to the fire in that second preseason game. They hold his feet to the fire. They talked to him. They talked about him like he was garbage. He didn't get no fair treatment, because people don't care. They didn't get that fair. He didn't get that fair treatment. Oh, he's a rookie. No, they don't care. Even though he played with offensive linemen that was not going to even make the team. Garbage. But Dillon Gabriel gets all the first team reps. Dillon Gabriel gets to play with the first stringers. He gets to play with the starters. He gets all the wonderful opportunity to be the best. And the reason why he's not the best, because it's karma. The reason why he's not the best, because he's straight up garbage.
So this is what I mean by that, right? I am not by any means saying that the Cleveland Browns have a good wide receiver room.
Right.
What I'm saying is this wide receiver room is better than what people think. The problem is they are underperforming. Cedric Tillman has been hurt, but at the end of last season, before he got hurt, people was really, really high on Cedric Tillman. Jerry Jeudy had drop issues last year. That's a fact, right? He still was a 1,000-yard wide receiver, and people looked at Jerry Jeudy as we had a solidified number one, maybe number two wide receiver. He too has underperformed, but he too has also been utilized in a way that's been different from last year. I don't have the exact number in front of me, but I believe that Jerry Jeudy played in the slot 35% of his snaps last season. He's been in the slot wide receiver position 16% of those snaps this season. Okay?
I think that's a necessity thing.
So the point I'm making is I don't think that the pass catchers in totality, if you want to include the tight ends as well, is that bad to where the point that's why we're not getting quality production, or even like just average production from the quarterback position. I do think that inserting a Shedeur Sanders will boost morale. And I think that I think that the energy behind that, I'm curious to see what the production and what the results will be. Like Chris said, the talent on the roster is what the talent on the roster is.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes because the situation is so bad, we're quick to say things like, well, the Browns got the worst wide receiver room in the NFL. And I think that the Browns wide receiver room, though they're not good, they have underperformed, and it makes them look worse than what they are. You follow what I'm saying? Because can anybody, like, do you, like me and you talked about it. What can we compare it to first? You want to go with the Titans?
Well, yeah, I mean, I literally, as we were talking about this during the break, I started pulling up depth charts here. So one of the first ones I threw out was Miami, and I said without Tyreek Hill, because obviously at the beginning of the season they had Tyreek Hill. That is what it is. I basically asked you, do you think Jalen Waddle is better than Jerry Jeudy? Because I was like, their wide receiver room is garbage outside of Jalen Waddle, and they don't have a good tight end really either. I mean, you could make the case that when he was still healthy, that what's his name was having like a bounce back season. How am I drawing up? Darren Waller. Darren Waller. Yeah. But other than that, like their pass catchers aren't that great right now. But I still would say probably overall you might say. I mean, I don't know. Do you think Jalen Waddle or who would you take if you had to draft right now? First pick, you can pick either Jalen Waddle or Jerry Jeudy. Who are you taking?
That's a really, really good question. I think I would go with Jalen Waddle just because of that speed factor.
Yeah, he's definitely.
I think that speed factor is the
Jerry
separator between
really
the
like
two.
A separation guy.
Yeah, he's more of a route runner. But like, yeah. I just think that like sometimes I feel like, in my opinion, we need to scale back from when we say, okay, this is the worst wide receiving core like ever to be seen. And I just feel like,
you know why they say
if we had a little bit better quarterback play, if the wide receivers did a better job of holding on to the ball, if everyone collectively did their job a little bit better, I think we'll be changing the tune, because a lot of these guys were here last year. Jerry Jeudy was here last year. Cedric Tillman was hurt on and off last year.
Yeah.
He should be back after the bye. Jamari Thrash was here last year. David Njoku, he's not a wide receiver by position, but based on this offense and how it was built, he's part of the pass catching room. He was here last year. So the new additions is what? Harold Fanning? And who else?
That's the biggest one. I mean, Jamari Thrash is getting a bigger role this year for sure. I mean,
but he was here last year.
Yeah. Well, but he wasn't as involved last year.
But you get my point. So like the temperature and the tone about this wide receiver room was not this bad last year, even though we thought it wasn't that great. The bigger issue is that group is underperforming to a level that is totally unacceptable.
Yeah, but I mean, at the same time, like, I don't know, I kind of view this a little bit differently. Now, in the grand scheme of things, like, if we're going to compare wide receiver rooms, I think my general feeling is like the Titans probably do have the worst one in football. I think the Raiders have a case for one of the worst ones in football. If you're lumping in other pass catchers, Brock Bowers probably puts them over the top because Brock Bowers is better. But if I'm taking like Jacoby Myers or Jerry Jeudy, I probably like Jerry Jeudy a little bit better.
Saints got Chris Olave.
Saints got Olave and Rashid Shaheed, who I think is a pretty good player. Like, there's just pretty good. I still think the Browns. To me, though, like, here's the thing. It doesn't even matter, like, if you want to comp, like, is theirs the worst in this groups or whatever. They're probably bottom three in terms of wide receiver rooms right now.
I agree with that.
And that doesn't have to be strictly because, like, Jerry's having a bad season. It can just be, like, collectively their talent is just not on par with other players. But you bring up, like, they're underperforming. Yeah, but what else do we have to go off of at this point to, like, judge them? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you can say they're underperforming, and we can say, like, yeah, they've had some bad injuries and things. But that's all part of the context right now of whether or not the receiver room is good or not. It's the same thing. Like, I kind of was laughing. Like, you kind of sounded like Kevin Stefanski. It's like, they just got to play better. That's what Kevin's telling us every game, but nothing changes. Like, at some point, what you're showing us on tape every week is who you are. So for me, I do think they have a really bad wide receiver room. But as it relates to Shedeur, my big thing with this conversation is, yes,
Listen, man. This is the thing. The thing that's going on is that their
wide receiver room isn't good
to help out Dillon Gabriel,
at least right now. Offensive line been an issue all season. They struggle to protect any quarterback that's back there. They couldn't protect Flacco very well. They're not protecting Dillon very well. They're not necessarily run blocking very well. A lot of what you see Quinshon Judkins having success with is like he kind of creates it on his own, right? He finds a small hole and then like breaks a couple tackles and goes. So there's a lot of issues with this offense. Yes. I don't know that any quarterback would succeed in this, but what I will say,
oh my God,
and I wrote about this actually this week, if you go back to college, and I understand that the Browns loved the fact that Dillon had 6 years of college experience, and I do think experience matters. Like, the more snaps you have, that stuff matters to NFL teams, especially in terms of like what you've seen, what you've done. But I also think Dillon played in a lot on teams that had a lot better situations around him than Shedeur did. Shedeur went to Colorado And it was kind of like a makeshift roster, right? It was like a little bit of Deion's guys, a little bit of guys that were already there, a little bit of guys he brought in through the transfer portal and things. And he built this team that took the world by storm. They started that one year like, 3-0, 4-0, whatever it was. And then they end up winning like 7-8 games, and everyone's impressed because Colorado was so bad. And he did that behind one of the worst offensive lines probably in college football, with a lot of chaos going on. In some respects, that is the thing that you can point to and say, this is why he does the drift in the pocket thing, because he had a bad offensive line in front of him. And I hope that that's something that the Browns have tried to coach out of him.
You've been making this point since what, April?
Right. I hope that that's something the Browns have tried to coach out of him at this point. And it might still be there. There might still be some remnants of that. But I'll tell you, like, if you're trying to tell me which quarterback might be better suited to run this offense with all the issues they have, with Kevin Stefanski going to the podium after games and saying, we just got to be better, because he knows there's no easy fix. Like Chris alluded to, they're not fixing the offensive line in the season. They're not fixing the receiving core in the season, unless maybe they make a trade next week. But either way, like, there's no quick fixes for those things. So who's better equipped to handle that? Sure, Dillon has a lot of experience from college. But Shedeur, he operated in chaos and was still one of the most efficient quarterbacks in college football last year, still put up awesome numbers, and has proven to you that, like, when things go awry, he can make plays. Yes, the drift in the pocket thing, you're not going to get away with that in the NFL, no doubt. He hopefully can correct those things, and he can learn as he goes. But I do have questions now at this point about, like, if this offense, because it is a debacle right now and because it's a mess right now, if Shedeur is actually better suited to run it just because of the experiences that he's had. So I'm as curious as anybody to see it. I get why they're sticking with Dillon, the 4-game sample size and all that. Like, you can't.
You know why I'm smiling at you? You just told our whole audience that you believe Shedeur Sanders makes everybody on his offense better. That's what you just said.
That's all to say. Like, to get back to the main point here, that's all to say. Like, we're on the same page with this. Like, I think there's a way where the offense shows maybe a little bit more life. Again, I get why they're sticking with Dillon. Because, again, I said it with Chris.
I totally agree with you, Gail.
If Shedeur started first and he only got in 4 games, I'd be banging the drum like, you can't evaluate a guy in 4 games. So I got to be fair to Dillon in that regard, too, and say, okay, he deserves some time here. And I like what Chris had to say. He doesn't know if it's week to week. I kind of feel like it's week to week, but I could see a world where they just are like, let's get through the next couple games before we make a switch and talk about it. But at the same time, I think you're right. Like, to me, I have questions and I have thoughts on maybe this offense will be better suited for Shedeur because he's seen that chaos. He's seen those struggles, and he still found a way to produce
and
it.
Like I said, don't get me wrong. I am not by no means trying to make it seem like the Cleveland Browns wide receiver room is anything that's above average, or good, or anything like that. I'm just asking this hypothetical question. Like, okay, if you think the wide receivers suck, did you come into the 2025 season saying Jerry Jeudy sucks? Did you come into the season saying Cedric Tillman sucks?
I was riding the Jerry Jeudy train. I know you were conductor.
And I can remember, like, we talked to Ashley Bastock once, and she was saying how Jamari Thrash she thought had the best training camp.
Didn't you and I argue if he was a top 10 wide receiver?
Yeah, we did.
15? And you said he was like 20, and I said he was 15.
Yeah, so it's like I get it because everybody has underperformed, but I'm just curious if people feel that way.
Yeah, of course. Yes, he is trash. Dillon Gabriel is trash. He is trash. There's no way you can tell me that Dillon Gabriel is not trash. And this dude, man, with the Ohio, let me just say this, man. Let me just say this. Let me just keep this short because this is about to be the ending of the stream here shortly. There's no way with a straight face anyone can tell me that Shedeur Sanders should not get an opportunity to play on this team. There's no way. No one can tell me that Shedeur Sanders should not get this opportunity. The reason why he's not getting this opportunity is because of the head coach of the Cleveland Browns. The head coach of the Cleveland Browns. I'm telling you, and that's facts. Kevin Stefanski believes more in Dillon Gabriel even the more garbage that Dillon Gabriel goes out there and play, the more belief that Kevin Stefanski has in him. He will rather go down sinking the whole entire ship than to give Shedeur Sanders an opportunity to go out there and perform. And that's a problem. That's a major problem. Because like I've been saying from since day one, he never had it in him to give Shedeur Sanders a fair opportunity. He never had it in him. And when you have a coach that has that type of mindset and is not even willing to even mention Shedeur Sanders' name, it lets you know he doesn't care nothing about Shedeur Sanders. Yeah, to be honest, Kevin Stefanski knows he's never given Shedeur first-team reps, and Shedeur balled out with the Panthers. So what they did was sabotage him with the Rams. If he put Shedeur in now, everyone will know. Exactly. We know that. We know that. We know that. We know this. This. See, the thing is, on my platform, we speak in truth, and I don't give a damn what nobody says, because nobody's going to come on my platform and talk garbage about Shedeur Sanders. No, I'm not going to allow you to do that. They do enough of that in the media. Kevin Stefanski does enough of that for the Cleveland organization. They do enough of that. But you're not going to come on my platform. I'm going to take care of you real quick. Because anybody that has even a decent amount of common sense can understand exactly what's going on. Kevin Stefanski drew up this strategy from since day one. He drew up that strategy to make Shedeur Sanders, to try to make Shedeur Sanders look bad by giving him no opportunity to play with the starters in the preseason, in that second preseason game for Shedeur. You know why? Because Shedeur Sanders balled out too well in his first preseason game, and he understood that let me try to put some monkey wrenches in there so that way we can make him look bad and try to run for his life. Let's don't give him good protection, because if we give him at least a decent amount of good protection, Shedeur Sanders is going to look even better than Dillon Gabriel. Yeah, I heard about that, Gail. I heard about that. It's the actual combination of what they have with the same agent, something like that, Gail. That's what you're talking about, between Dillon Gabriel and Dan Lanning. But let me tell you something. This is deep. This is deeper than football. From the whole thing, when you talk about from the NFL draft, nobody was talking about Dillon Gabriel. Nobody was talking about Dillon Gabriel being better than Shedeur Sanders in college. Then all of a sudden, the NFL draft comes, and you mean to tell me Shedeur Sanders is not drafted in the first round? Shedeur Sanders is not drafted in the second round? He's not drafted in the third round? He's not drafted in the fourth round? But he's drafted in the fifth round, 144th pick. Man, we all know collusion when we see it. We all know collusion when we see it. We can see it. We're not blind. We're not dumb. Yep. I figured that, Gail. Yeah, I saw that. Golf partners and same ages. But we all know what this is. They trying to treat him like he on the plantation. Let's call it for what we see. Let's talk real talk. They're trying to treat him. They're using that reverse psychology. They're trying to book break Shedeur Sanders. They're trying to book break him mentally. Oh, this is the good old boy system. We don't care. We're going to break you, boy. When you come to our league, we're going to show you who got the real power. We're going to show you what this is all about, on how we conduct business in the NFL. But let me tell y'all something. Let me tell y'all something, man. What God already has ordained for you and for purpose, no man can break it. You best believe that. You best believe that. Casey is doing Dan Lanning a favor for Dollar General. Let me tell you something, man. For what God has for you, no man can break God's plan. And when because Shedeur Sanders is going to get his opportunity, whether they like it or not, he going to get his opportunity. All Shedeur Sanders has to do is be ready, which I know he's ready. All Shedeur Sanders has to do is just be ready. Because his opportunity is coming sooner rather than later. Because guess what? He's one play away. And I mean, you heard what I said. He's one play away. He's one play away. And karma is going to get its justice sooner rather than later. Because all it takes is one play, and then guess what? It's Shedeur Sanders time. And I promise you this, Shedeur Sanders is waiting for his moment. He can't wait. He's already ready. And you best believe when he gets his opportunity, he's going to be flying to the moon. And Dillon Gabriel can hang it up because he's going to be ready. He's going to show everybody on full display, whether it's 1080p, whether it's 2K, whether it's 4K resolution. He's going to show everybody where they stick it at, and he's going to show that I am an NFL quarterback. What you think about me now? Period. Let me tell y'all something, man. I really appreciate all the support from all of y'all that are watching me right now. I'm live right now on Facebook, live on YouTube, and I'm live on Twitch. You can go over Twitch and you can subscribe there too as well, Sports Talk HQ. Appreciate you following me right here on Facebook as well. Let me tell y'all something, man. Keep doing your thing, Shedeur Sanders. Understand this is chess, not checkers, and also understand, which he understands, the Sanders family understand. Just keep waiting. Your time has come, and it's coming sooner rather than later. Until next time, man, on the next live video, man. Let me see what we got here. Mandel, nobody is going to injure the Make-A-Wish kid quarterback and take a chance on the Browns becoming competitive. Gabriel is the safest player in the NFL from the other team injuring him. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something, man. And I mean what I'm about to say. When you watch on how Shedeur Sanders is being treated unfairly and the make-up lies that they talked about on Shedeur Sanders, it just lets you know that they are fearful. They're fearful because they know what's coming. They already know what's already here. And they can try to put up so many roadblocks because a lot of times people will try to put roadblocks in your way when they are scared and they are insecure about their own capabilities. And when they try to go all out your way, it already lets you know that you've already won. You are already won. You've already won. It's just a matter of time because they already know that greatness is already in this young man. They see it in practice every day. They see it in how he carry himself every day. They don't even like the fact, let me tell you something, if all the fans are asking for Shedeur Sanders, they want to get signatures from Shedeur Sanders, not from Dillon Gabriel, the little leprechaun, but they want to see Shedeur Sanders to play on the field. You're absolutely right, Gail. They're scared of Shedeur. That's the bottom line. They are scared on what he is. They are scared on what he's going to become. And let me tell you something. Ain't nobody going to be able to stop what's coming. They're trying. You can see it in real time. They're trying everything that they can do to delay the inevitable. But you can't delay it. It's just God's just going to bring it forth at his perfect time where he's going to get all the glory. And nobody can take none of the doggone credit because God is going to get all the credit from this. Watch what I tell you. Watch what I tell you. We're going to be right on these same airways and we're going to be saying, I told you so. I told you so. But let me tell y'all something, ladies and gentlemen. Y'all keep y'all head on the swivel. Always pay attention to what's going on in your surroundings and stay woke at all times. Until next time on my live stream, man. See y'all on the next live video.